Hello, hello, hello. It is Moonshine Oracle with a little waning crescent Cheshire Grin. There's just a lot of people being exposed right now. People from the past, like if they benefited from your pain in the past, they're getting called out because somebody was able to buy a house and afford a mortgage for a little while when they originally just did not have the income before. They were able to buy a whole new cars, the whole 9 yards. Because when people have certain assets and it just does not match their income, it's just kind of like it takes living beyond their means to a whole new level. And we all had those points where we just go a little buck wild with the credit card and stuff like that, or we just treat ourselves to something we actually wanted. We pinch the pennies for a long ass time, etc., etc., etc. But it gets to a point where if you know somebody makes like $30,000 a year and they're driving the best of cars, wearing the best of clothes, the best of perfumes, the best colognes and stuff like that, they either have wealthy kin that treats them at Christmas or it's something else. And I mean, like, this isn't credit card debt. This is questions arise because now, like, when people apply for mortgages and stuff like that, like, you actually have to have the income to afford the mortgage and so on down that line. Same with the car. Like, they are leaving no stone unturned when you apply for these car and home loans and stuff like that. But when people are paid to cause problems, 9 times out of 10, like, there's people who will straight up do anything for a chunk of change, even though they feel really guilty about it. Because I've had a lot of guilty people in my energy. Like, I'm talking, they feel nothing but remorse because you were a damn good friend to them. And you will be called to distance yourself from these people at some point. Because if these people, like, vandalized your dwelling and stuff, it's because they were protected by somebody in the process. But the thing is, that protection does not last forever. There is a man in a country overseas, a little hop across the pond, what I like to call the gray suit. I like to call him the gray suit. Because every time I sense his energy, he's always presenting a gift of sorts to somebody who persecuted me. And I always hear him say, "Thank you for your service to the crown." I've been having these the visions of this guy since 2021. Now, whether he works for a certain royal household or not remains to be seen. I'm just saying that's how I saw it in the vision. But, like, he would come to my current and former colleagues, former friends, and so on down that line. But the thing is, when you get a forensic accountant involved and you follow the money, oh yeah, they took money. They took money. And if anybody were to ask them where the money came from, it's like, oh, it's an inheritance. But what's got some questions now is there was a group of people that were paid that didn't come from my family, left me something money. It's like, how did you get these things? Because, I mean, it's not that you can't make anything of yourself and become anything. It's just questions are arising now because they may have had to leave as people were starting to catch on. They may have tried to start a bunch of rumors with a group of people that have known you since childhood. Like, they are actual friends of your family and stuff like that. And some questions, it's like, why would you talk about her like that? We actually why would you talk about her like that? We actually know her. What is wrong with you? Because I know for a fact in my case, one of the guilty parties with me for a little while lived on the same street. Like, they moved from my house to 2 doors down to a street, not just in the same the neighborhood as my godmother, but they lived like just 3 or 4 houses down on her street. And it's like, ooh, that's gonna be interesting. Like, they may have tried to start something with that particular group of people, and it's like eyebrows are raised, the whole 9 yards. And it's just like, okay, now they've moved. They can't really do a whole lot there because you don't know anybody up there, and you never have any intentions of moving to where they have moved to. So it's like, that's going to make everything completely and utterly pointless. And some of them may have a cop friend, because the light just turned green and there's a cop out of jurisdiction that just blew the light. And it's like, oh, you're a smart one. I guess he wasn't paying attention to the light turning green. I don't know. It's also the end of night shift here, so could be tired, or somebody just overlooked a simple fact that blew a whole case. If they were trying to pin a case on you, they can't do it anymore, and so on down that line. But I've noticed a big energy shift when Doge got started doing all the audits, the nixing of this, the nixing of that. And it's like, I don't agree with everything they nixed with, but at the same time, it has its purposes. Like, as annoying as certain things are, it's not without reason. It's not it actually can work in an odd way or two. Because now we have like all these audits and stuff like that. The spending was highly unnecessary in several cases. And I mean, it works out. And right as I say that, there's cops have got a person pulled over. There's congestion on the highway. And this is all as I'm trying to go to work, so they could be trying to cause delays for your money, your finances, your projects, and so on down that line. And people are low-key starting to realize too little too late that, hey, maybe we should have been supportive, maybe we should have been a better friend. It's too late to turn around. And a lot of times people are afraid, like if they know you to be really empathic, psychic even, and it's like they know you went ghost, but they don't know what you know. Because when I pulled away from everybody in 2020 that I could think of, I didn't know what I knew now. I just knew I had to get away from certain folks, like eliminate as much access to my person as possible in the name of my own safety. And sure enough, I was right. I was right. And a lot of it had to do with this gray suit. A lot of it had to do with this gray suit in particular. Because I'm going to tell you this here and now. If you are truly a necessity, you would not have to fabricate things in the environment that only your expertise can fix. Like, say you're in service to King Charles right now, for example. Like, you're one of the few that remained in service after the passing of the Queen. You may be good with the monarch, but you're not in good with the heir apparent. So when the heir apparent takes over, that's it for this person. And I see where people are coming from, because you're in service to the monarch. The heir apparent is not the monarch, but at the same time, somebody here did not play their cards right with the heir apparent. And there is a time where old school needs to adopt a new trick here and there. Like, old tricks are not going to work in this day and age, because if the people you were paying secretly get audited and all that jazz, it's going to be linked back to a certain person. Wires are traceable. Paper checks are traceable. I work for a bank. Hello. You think I don't know how any of that works? Let's just say there's a lot of things that happened that should not have happened. There are a lot of things that happened that should not have happened. This is also a classic case of why you don't lean on psychics and tarot and divination for everything. Because if you get a reading, say 20 years ago, that somebody was going to be an enemy, and you start doing all this spiritual quote-unquote protection work, but in reality it's a binding spell to keep them bound from being in problem, you technically dealt the first blow. The person you bound is not only allowed to undo the shit that you've done, but they're also within bounds to send it back. Do you need a breakdown of how the rules of engagement work? So in reality, all what somebody or a specific group of people had to do was stay in their lane and mind their fucking business. Let somebody have a peaceful life. Let them have the success that was destined for them, and there would be no smoke. Don't mess with their money, and there won't be any problems. Hell, they might even be your ally. But no, you, in your paranoia, better safe than sorry, baby, you kicked off a whole fucking spiritual war, and it is single-handedly this douchebag's fault. Let's be for real. Like, if you're 80 years old, what in the fuck are you trying to do? Like, what makes you think you are qualified to be an advisor in a modern day world? What on earth makes you think you are viable when you don't even understand a fraction of the technology? You can barely use your cell phone. You are out here encouraging long-lasting things that will spend more time destroying and holding back a generation or two than helping them. You're pushing these narratives, these ideas, because it's what you know and what you understand, which is understandable. But at the same time, this is a modern world that is rapidly changing. They come from a world that changed maybe saw change once or twice in a decade. My bracket and on down the line, we're seeing change like every day, if not multiple times a day, and we're fucking exhausted. But the thing is, the difference between me and this old bastard here is one generation learned to roll with the punches, and another generation just cannot handle shit. Which is why they're trying to change the laws and regulations now, back to the way it was God knows how many years ago. They don't have the brains to keep up with today's technology. And the only way they're going to willingly learn how this technology works is if they can use it to their advantage in regards to stalking certain people. All that was stolen from a person energetically because of this asshat, guess what? It has to be given back. Everybody that benefited, like took a check or wire a whatever from that person, guess what? They're being discredited. There's lawyers being disbarred. There's people sick where they once had perfect health. My God. Like kidneys are failing. There's cardiac arrest, heart failure, and all that other fun stuff. That is not so fun to deal with. But my thing is this. Halloween is kind of coming up. So naturally, I don't know what it is about these dumbasses, and there's like, they always do death spells on Halloween. Like right at the beginning of Scorpio season. And it's like, can y'all just give it up? Because the more y'all do this, the more people like me download information about you because you won't stop attacking us. All you had to do was let us have a peaceful life. And there would be no smoke. There would be no problems. But no, y'all don't know how to do that. You are out here thinking you are covering your bases, and really you just single-handedly kick-started a spiritual war that you do not have the means to fight. That's what you did. I'm not going to tell you how you can get out of it. You're on your own. Just like I was left on my own. Figure it out. Because if my hunch is correct. Not five years from now, but 5 years from when a certain person took over a position. I told my friend 5 years was generous. That was me being nice. And the thing is, y'all didn't leave me alone when I was being nice. It shouldn't take me turning into a fire-breathing dragon to make you see that you should have never bothered me from the get-go. Y'all don't respond to nice, but y'all respond to mean. But then again, y'all don't know how to be your own person. You're too busy being codependent and someone down that line. You need mommy to hold your hand every 5 minutes. But the funny thing is Gray Suit here has a thing for prostitutes. He got a thing for call girls. He is the reason a certain prince got into drugs and alcohol and prostitutes. And his son helped him do it. Some friend. Because that friend is also the reason he ended up in some very embarrassing headlines over the years. And I'm going to tell you this here now. A real friend would never do that. A real friend sets you up on the path to success, not failure and embarrassment. I'm just saying. Oh yes, I know all about the powdered sugar habit. I know all about it. Y'all been a little extra stressed out as of late because y'all been snorting like crazy. there's the brown liquor and the vodka and the gin. Absinthe if you want to hallucinate a little bit. Oh, and then there's your call girls and your prostitutes. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of video footage that I don't have anything to do with, but since y'all won't leave me alone, I know about it. You want to go and get your freak on and stuff, that's between you and whatever you pray to, but pray tell, leave me out of it, because I don't want to sense that shit. Nasty bastard. Before I go, it's really wild calling me a frump when one of the people causing the problems looks like a turtle without its shell. Wild. Your face is ugly. It's one of the ugliest I've ever seen. Just, Lord have mercy. My understanding is you're the poorest one in the group, but you have the most audacity. You're the poorest one in the group, but you have the most audacity. And with that, everyone enjoy